Hey everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Natty and Not. We are your hosts,
My name is Alexis, and I am Natty.
and my name is Mike, and I am not. I do have to come out and say a quick PSA on last week's episode where I goofed. I bumbled and said when we were talking about how to identify people that take PEDs, and I
Mm.
said shoulders. And then I made a comment that it was because of adrenals, and I just had a huge brain fart. And I made a comment in the notes section, which maybe people read, maybe they didn't. But just to square up on that, it is androgen receptors, right? So when you're,
Androgen receptors.
yeah, so when you're taking PEDs, they are androgenic and anabolic.
Hmm.
And androgenic's more masculinization, and anabolic is more muscle building properties. So, and being that it's most PEDs are both androgenic and anabolic. Um, the reason why shoulders and traps get so big is because there's a higher concentration of androgen receptors in those locations. So, just a little bit more background to to clear the air on that topic, so I don't sound like a total douche. Um, so anyway,
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for clearing that up. And that makes sense as to the why.
yeah,
So that's why you see a lot of the pros. I mean, a lot of them in general at even amateurs, but like those big round cap shoulders, that's a telltale sign, is what you're saying.
yeah, big time. Yep.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah, and then another tell too that I was thinking about after the fact,
Hmm.
right? Look for side effects. Side effects are, in men, it could be in men and women, but just like uh, if they're doing it incorrectly, you'll notice a lot of back acne, shoulder acne, or just body acne. It could be on your chest, arms, break out on your face real bad. And if you're taking, I don't know, amounts that are your body's not used to, or you know, you're just not used to. Your body's just not used to handling these hormones.
Hmm.
Um, your skin starts to produce more. I think it's called sebum, and that's what clogs your pores. Uh, so
I think it's called
it's
sebum. That's
sebum,
like the
sebum,
like gunk in your pores,
right? Yeah,
essentially.
that's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, and
If you've
then
ever like popped a pimple or
yeah,
like what feels like a big blackhead and it looks almost like a grain of rice that comes
hmm
out, that's that
right,
that's what that is in your skin.
for sure. And then of course, uh, for men once they're past like adolescence, though, right? Other things that you could notice, but you in women, but not in men, would be deeper voice, uh, larger cheekbones, right? Bone growth in the face and jawline.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think for both men and women, you would also see, could be significant hair loss, right? And then there's compounds and drugs to take to battle all those side effects, right? So it's you kind of, if you're doing it correctly and you're monitoring your blood work and everything, you should be, for the most part, minimal side effects. Hopefully none, but it's, with this, when you're taking PDs, there are risks, and there's a lot of side effect management, and some people just
See,
ignore side effects too.
so you said something twice, and I want to come back around to it because I want to ask you more of what you mean about it.
Mhm.
But when you talk about in men and women, I think in men it's a little bit different, but I think in women, when you talk about the hair loss
Mhm.
or the deepening of the voice, the widening of the face,
Mhm.
I think for at least the women that are prominent on social media that come out and make videos or talk, if you look at pictures of them from when they first started bodybuilding, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of people be like, will have like their first show pictures up or do like a before and after. Not with all, but with some that I
Mhm.
follow, right? You definitely see that wide face,
For sure.
that wider face.
Yeah.
Some of them have the deepening of the voice, but that
All the
wider.
ones that I've seen that you watch have the deep voice.
Okay.
So,
I think
and
you're right. I
yeah,
don't think in some of them though, like if I didn't hear them before, I wouldn't necessarily think, oh, she has a deep voice. But like just a
I
lower, some
yeah,
people just have a lower register.
for sure. I don't think that like
Okay.
I
You
don't
disagree. You
I
could hear
just
it in the voice.
yeah, you can hear it.
Got it.
Yeah,
I think for women, there are right there's not nearly as much information out,
for sure.
even just people openly talking about it, like
Yeah.
on YouTube or various platforms, right? Like you go on YouTube and you want to learn about PEDs, steroids, these different compounds, all of this stuff. Oh, I just went dark. You want to learn about all of that stuff. You could very easily go on to YouTube as a guy and find out so much information. Maybe a lot of
Yes.
wrong information, but there's a lot of information out there.
There's a ton for dudes for sure.
Yeah.
But that's been, I would say, the bodybuilding industry has been predominantly men, and
Do you see how many women get up on that stage?
for competitive bodybuilding and the PEDs that are taken for like bikini athletes versus open bodybuilding athletes is
All right,
like
well, hold
completely
on. But
different.
I
So
mean, you're comparing the earliest entry for women
yeah,
versus the top
but
rung
that's where
for
the majority
men.
of women are. If there was no bikini class, that number of women shrinks significantly.
You're right. I mean, that's why you can go up to bikini open class, LMNOP, and
Right,
beyond because there's
right.
so many. But that's the same thing with men's physique. I
Yeah,
mean, all of those board
but
short guys, they're like a one for one
yeah,
because it's the earliest point for entry. Like you want to get into this sport, whether you're, someone who's like, I got in a really good shape and I just want to
yeah,
do it, or, whatever your reason is. Maybe you want to become a competitive bodybuilder, but this is just where you are now. So that's where your body fits
yeah.
in those smaller categories because you don't have as much muscle. There's a one for one for men and women. I mean, any of the shows that we've been to or that I've been in or that we watch, there's tons of dudes in that category.
Yeah. So okay. So okay. So then take bikini
Because I didn't
and
like what you said.
take men's physique out of it, and it's still
Okay.
predominantly men. there's there's
You're forgetting about wellness.
yeah
Okay,
there's a good
okay,
amount of
but I
wellness
get your
girls.
point. Hold
Anyway,
on.
okay. Well, I'll say
Hold on. I get your point.
ooh, bump the mic. Hopefully that didn't.
But
That's
yes, okay, there are far more men in those more muscular categories,
yes. There you go.
PED use, all of that stuff.
That's all I'm
But
saying.
when you compare those side effects, okay? So
Yeah.
your side effects being hair loss,
Mhm.
um,
I was
acne.
bald before this, by the way.
I I was gonna come back around to that. Not that I was gonna call you out and say that like
Yeah.
you're bald, but I was gonna talk about that. But that's really
Nice.
funny though that you
Nice
mentioned
try.
that.
Yeah.
No, you started balding way before you even knew what steroids were.
Yeah. Very young
I
man.
mean, you're a very young man. Anyway, but you think about at least those immediate physical side effects, right? So I feel like side effects kind of come in two different categories. You've got the initial physical,
Yep.
and then you've got the long-term chronic, potentially taking years off of your life types of symptoms, more
Yep.
health factors versus the aesthetic.
Yep.
I think for the most part, it's safe to say that someone that's on PEDs is doing it for those short-term gains, the aesthetic, right? Because that's what bodybuilding and it is, bodybuilding is, it's an aesthetic sport. So when you think about those two things, or I'm sorry, when you think about the aesthetics and you think about men and women, for women, the side effect of taking steroids is virilization. It's not a
Yep.
matter of when, or excuse me, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when,
Right.
right? Because when you talk about virilization, so that's a woman taking PEDs and becoming more manly. And then there are things like their voice drops, it starts to become deeper.
Yep.
So for women that maybe like to sing, whether just like in the shower or on their own or like in church choirs or whatever, the very few women that are on social media talking about their usage, first thing that tends to go is they notice they can't quite sing as high. other things in women when you talk about the aesthetics. So other than muscle growth, which is what the goal is, hair loss, acne,
Yep.
getting wider, right? Wider all over. And then when you get to longer term virilization, the way that you start carrying fat in your body changes. For men, you just become more manly
Hell
in
yeah.
short terms, right? It's the hell yeah. But it's those things that make a man physically masculine, right?
Sure.
That like broad jawline. And there's all those
Yep.
studies that talk about like what makes a man attractive to somebody, but like that like wider jaw.
Mhm.
I mean, let's not shit ourselves. When we look at pictures from you from like 2 years ago, what do we call that guy now, babe?
It's Cancer Mike.
It's Cancer Mike. Because it's like I look at those pictures of you then
Yeah.
and I look at pictures of you now and I'm like, holy shit, your face.
Yeah. And
Like
yeah.
your face has just gotten wide.
Right.
And I mean, I'm sure it's going to continue to get wider. I mean, you're only in this a year. So your face is just like is wide. Now I look at you and I think you're absolutely gorgeous. And I don't remember Cancer Mike from back then. Like, who's this skinny bitch showing up in my memory videos? It's bizarre.
Yeah.
But then of course, right, I live with you. I see your
see
stupid face every
every day.
single day.
Right.
That's like I don't notice it until I notice it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I was
Anyway,
I was just perusing some pictures and I was just like, I did the same thing. And I was like, wow, definitely put on some size.
absolutely. But like you're so for men, those more masculine features, right? Your jaw gets bigger, your shoulders get bigger. It doesn't change the way necessarily that you carry fat,
No.
right? Because you're already carrying fat. Like men tend to carry fat more in their bellies, their midsection, where women it's hips and thighs traditionally, right?
Mhm.
Balding, like you said, you were already bald. What the fuck did you give a shit for? Right?
Yep.
You're like,
Nothing to lose. Let's go.
nothing to lose. Let's go. Maybe a lot of men feel that way, but then, balding in men is acceptable in society. It's,
Sure.
dare I say, accepted
Yep.
or sorry, not accepted, but expected in many, right? If I
Yeah.
walk down the street, I see a bald guy. It's like, okay, whatever. It's just,
Yep.
it's a normal thing. It's not normal or way less frequent to see a woman who has thinning hair or a woman that's balding. That's just not as standard. So, not to be like offensive towards people, but when you see somebody, a woman who has very thin hair, you could see their scalp, like you pick up on that and you notice it.
Right.
Whether that's because it's just sort of like out of the societal norm. And then you also have the acne piece. So like the hair and the skin from like the female perspective of like having to be pretty and beautiful, like there's a lot of those things that make that less attractive for a woman. So
Mhm.
less likely to have that happen. Obviously natural, haven't ever done anything, haven't even like wouldn't even strongly consider doing anything at this point in my life. But when I look at you over the last year that you've been doing this, I'm like, that motherfucker put on so much size. And I joke with you and I say you're a cheater from time to time.
Mhm.
But like you've put on all of this size, and like I'm not going to pretend that I'm not a little bit jealous.
Sure.
I'm not going to pretend like, I don't look at, well, what would this do? What would this do? And I swear, anytime that I watch, because I'm interested,
Mhm.
a video on women's usage in PEDs, half of the videos are women saying, don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple, and I don't know their names off the top of my head, but like they're pros, or it's like you look at them and you're like, okay, like they know what they're doing. They're like, don't do it, because once you do it, you don't undo it. Like the
Right.
virilization, it's like a
You
cup.
cannot.
Once it's full,
It's not reversible.
it doesn't go back.
Right.
So you have a number of, and then there's other like enlarging of like your privates and things like that. I don't even know what that looks like. I don't want to know. I don't want to
What?
like, you didn't know that? You knew that.
Women enlarge their
Well, like
like.
virilization.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
like women are in doing that, but like
Yeah. Gotcha. That's a
Those are
side
all
effect.
of the
That's a
things,
side
right? That's
effect.
a side effect.
Yeah.
Those are all the things. And when I watch videos just trying to learn about it, I'm immediately like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give up those
That's a lot.
pieces of me, right, that
That's
make me feel feminine. I don't want to do
sure.
that.
Yeah. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's definitely, you know, considerations. There's risks with everything, which is why I do my blood work and I
Yeah.
do my blood glucose and I measure my blood pressure 3 times a week. And, like all of these markers are indicators of your health, right? And I've said to you and promised to you, and if my markers ever get out of whack, that's it. It's done, right?
Yeah.
Like if I can't stabilize them and recover them, then that's it. Bodybuilding's done for me with the way I'm doing it.
But that's also why too you take time off of those things, right? You're
Correct.
not on them
That's
full speed,
that's
pedal to
what.
the metal all
Yeah.
year.
I mean, there's
It's a
guys that run.
cycle.
There's guys that run gear. They're on cycle year round.
Oh,
I come off completely and just go to TRT, level testosterone, and yeah, you just got to let your body recoup. You can't you know run
you
at
can't
100.
push it.
You can't run at 150% all the time. Then I mean that's where risks really become a big factor.
So you had said earlier, if you do it correctly, and you said that like twice at least that I picked up on.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by doing it correctly? Is that what you mean like getting your bloods done? Like what do you mean
Yeah,
by
correct.
correctly other than
Yes.
bloods done?
Yeah, so it's doing blood work before, making sure that you're healthy before you start. Because and that was, when I signed up with Coach Braden, we were like, well, we'll do your blood work. Once you see your blood work, then we'll talk about PEDs. But in the meantime, food and training is like,
Mhm.
those are your biggest tools in your toolbox. PEDs is just another tool. And so yeah, so we looked at my blood markers, make sure like red blood cell count was good, hematocrit, insulin levels were good, blood glucose, all my hormone levels were normal. Nothing was like didn't have any cortisol or something, like anything was out of whack, right?
Mhm.
And so then after that, then you start at a low dose and you titrate up to what you think will be your maximum. Typically it's around 500 for beginners, but there's like pros that run 2, 3, 4 times that.
Oh my God.
And that's because they put on so much size, they need that much
Oh, interesting.
to maintain. um, so that's what I mean by doing it correctly. It's like it's doing your blood work 3, 4 times a year. Or even if something happens and you start getting side effects, like if I was starting to have some type of weird issue, I'd go get my blood work pulled immediately, and then
Yeah.
we'd go say, okay, oh, this is out of whack. I'd
Yeah.
share this with coach, go to a doctor, we take care of it.
Yeah. And so what sort of side effects have you experienced so far?
Yeah, so in the beginning, it was definitely shoulder and back acne.
Mhm.
It wasn't like god awful terrible, like, but I've never had that, so that was something that was like new to me. And now I think my body's adjusted, and I tolerate it better now.
Yeah.
And so I think that was just kind of like in the initial 6 months type of thing. Um, but that I think was probably the only real bad side effect that I think I've had so far.
Mhm.
Um, and it was just more of, I think, my body just adjusting, to higher testosterone levels.
That makes sense. So
Yeah.
not too bad yet.
No, no. Oh, and then, well, I guess this kind of leads into one topic that I did want to get into today, which is cardio, but my blood glucose, right? So that's another measure of how your body's processing the food that it's taking in. And, right. So, insulin helps shuttle food into glycogen into your muscles,
So
right?
carbohydrates, sugar,
Carbohydrates. Yep.
well, just
Carbohydrates.
carbohydrates.
Yep. And
Okay.
so my blood glucose, like a normal range for most people is 70 to like 130.
Okay.
But for ideal bodybuilding, you want to be around, you want to be lower than 80.
Lower than 80.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So
that just means like your body is processing the food that you're taking. And PEDs have an impact on your insulin resistance or like insulin levels?
They
Blood
can,
glucose.
yeah, they can, but ultimately it's more or less based on how much food you're taking in, right? So if you're just taking in way more food than your body can process, well, then you're going to have more, your blood glucose, right? Sugar in your blood will be higher,
Gotcha.
is, is,
Okay.
is what it comes down to.
So when did you, so I know you had an issue with your blood glucose being
Yeah. So I was hovering around like
not
90.
high,
It wasn't, yeah. So I wasn't past 100. I was in like the mid 90s,
right?
but that's not ideal because that means that like I'm becoming insulin resistant
Hmm.
and I'm not, the insulin's not shuttling the glycogen into my muscle stores, which is where I need it for when I'm training. Right.
Right.
And so, good.
So at what point, so think about like where your macros were.
Mhm.
At the point you started to have issues with it, or like where you
Mhm.
started to track high, around what were your carbs at
Oh,
daily?
like 650-ish, 650 grams of carbs.
650 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
That's
Just a,
crazy high.
just a little bit. I wasn't even the highest though.
What was your highest?
Uh,
Seven
so
something?
yeah, it was like 714, something like that.
Okay.
So
It's a lot. So
a lot.
around 650, you started to notice the
Yeah.
and now, so how are you measuring your blood glucose and how often do you measure it?
So I was when it was high, I was measuring it 2 or 3 times a week, fasted, right? So waking up in the morning, have a cup of water, wait 20 minutes, prick your finger, and then just like you would see a diabetic do a blood glucose test, you just prick your finger. There's a little strip, put the drop of blood on there, and then a little device will tell you where
Hmm.
your blood glucose is at. It is the only thing that sucks is that the meters are variable, and like taking your blood glucose measurements are also variable. So it's a little, you know, it, it, you want to basically drink a cup of water, make sure your blood's flowing, take your measurement, and just use that as your measurement. Because if you keep measuring,
Hmm.
it could start drifting a couple points in either
Gotcha.
direction. Yeah.
Gotcha. So are you still doing it 3 times a week or no? Because you have it under control at this point.
No, well now because I'm cutting, right? So I'm in a
Well,
caloric.
that's true. Different.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
rewind to not before your prep.
yeah. So now now my pancreas can keep up with the amount of food that I'm eating. It's producing enough insulin, and I'm absorbing everything that I'm in. And right now I'm hovering around 70, which is 70 to 75, which is very good, very good.
Gotcha. So once yours was marked high,
Mhm.
so you're eating 650 carbs a day, various levels of different PEDs in your system. What did you implement to get it back down to your optimal range?
Yeah. So the biggest tool that we implemented was so I was actually twofold. So it was a glucose disposal agent and fasted cardio. So fasted cardio was 20 minutes, 4 or 5 times a week. I forget what it was when
I
I
feel
first
like you're
started.
at 5.
I think it was 20 minutes, fasted cardio, just waking up, hopping on this bad boy behind me and stepping and just getting cardio in that way. And that helped out so much. And that brought me, back into the 80s, which is like where we wanted to be.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And so that was what was really interesting and what we started talking about earlier that kind of led to this topic is I've always looked at, or at least my coach has always looked at cardio as a tool for fat loss. And in my first prep, I don't think I had any cardio, maybe like a couple short sessions, like the last couple of weeks, but I'm talking like 2, 3 times a week, half hour. She didn't have me do much. And it was
Right.
like just in those like last couple of weeks to get off as much as you can.
Right.
Last year, my second prep, I think I was 3 times a week at like a half hour, maybe 20 minutes. I can't quite remember, but it was only in like the last few weeks. So, in the grand scheme of things, really not a lot of cardio. But what I find really interesting was how much you were doing even in the off season. Like you're trying to build, so like logically when we think about cardio as a fat loss tool, or like calorie reduction tool, whatever. It is a tool in your toolbox for fat loss. But here you are in a bulk trying to build and put on muscle, yet you're doing fasted cardio every morning. So it's like the two almost don't make sense to go together. But when you talk about it in terms of managing your insulin and just doing that little bit made such an impact, then things like started to click about other like YouTubers that I've watched or different people. Everyone talks about, or a lot of the like the big pro guys talk about doing cardio every single day. Yep. Or that's just part of their regimen is cardio every single day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my mind for a while, I was always like, that's so dumb. Like, why are you doing that? Why are you intentionally burning more calories when you're you're force feeding yourself? Mm-hmm. Why are you doing cardio? So when we kind of talked about that at whatever point we did, that started to click for me. Oh, I bet you because they're eating so much food, their body just can't process it.
Right. And the fasted cardio helps increase insulin sensitivity, which is what you need. Because your pancreas can only produce so much insulin, right? So it could only, there's going to be a food wall at some point that every bodybuilder hits. And a lot of the big bodybuilders, when they do hit that wall, then they will implement some type of long-acting insulin to help them process all that food, and get that glycogen into your muscle stores.
I feel like I've seen things on Instagram that talk about, like during peak week and show like when you're like ramping up and you're carbing up so much to fill out the muscle, like some of those big giant guys that have so much muscle, so they need like 1,000 carbohydrates or whatever to pump them up during peak week, or even more than that. I have no idea how much it is, but that like they take a shot of insulin.
Yeah.
Which is, it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy what it takes to get that big.
Yeah. And those guys
and then maintain it for
freakishly
health.
Big. Yeah. Right.
But it's still like, it's not just, it's what are you willing to put your body through to look that way for competition, for whatever the reason is,
whatever your goal is.
It's like your body is fighting you at every step of the way to get there, and all of these various things that you need to implement to make your body stop doing that or keep pushing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because it's, I don't know, it goes against common sense to do it, but yet here we are. And we do it, and we want to do it. We want to just keep pushing beyond the max to see what's possible.
Exactly. I mean, and that's what the whole, NPC feeding into IFBB is really kind of, comprised of, right? And like the weight classes keep going up a couple pounds every, couple years. And it's like, the guys keep getting bigger and bigger. The girls keep getting bigger and bigger. It's definitely shifted to a certain aesthetic, and that is the bar that is set.
It's interesting because you compare people in those same divisions from like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and the size difference is insane.
Yeah.
It's like the figure women of 10, 15 years ago look like the bikini women of today. It's insane. And I'm sure there's an equivalent for the guys. They're just mass monsters.
Same for the dudes. Well, they actually added Classic Physique is actually not that old. I think it's roughly when Bumstead went pro is when they added Classic Physique, or right before. I didn't know that. Yeah. So and he's won it 6 times now, 5 times, 5. 6? I forget now.
A lot.
Yeah, reigning champ. But so Classic Physique is still a fairly new category for the history of this, considering the history of the sport.
Interesting. I didn't know that. So the guys just kept getting so bigger, they had to add in something lower, right? Below bodybuilding.
Yeah, because there's and it's the same way they broke out women's divisions, they broke out the men's divisions, because it was just
that makes sense.
Guys that are in men's physique, a lot of them can't grow their legs. But
that's the same thing as like wellness.
Yeah. So
right? It's or the opposite rather.
yeah,
That is what I was saying.
yeah. The
It's the
wellness
opposite
women
of
just have
wellness.
bigger lower halves, right? Their
Big
glutes,
giant legs. It's
legs are
crazy.
massive.
So massive. It's pretty cool. All right. So it's interesting. So I don't do cardio.
Yeah, now I do cardio
Now you
for
do extra cardio.
sheer fat burning purposes.
Yeah.
So, 40 minutes a day. And that's been increased now, but I'll wait till the check-ins to talk
No.
about
So
that.
how was your check-in? So you did your check-in this morning.
Yeah, check-in this morning. So weighed in at new low 202.4, 0.5, something like that.
You don't
And
know.
it's 202.5. Yes.
What were you last week?
204.2.
Okay. So about
So
2 pounds.
about 2 pounds, yeah.
Good for you.
Yep, yeah. So tightening up a lot, which is good. Coach gave me feedback, said starting to see my hamstrings come in, which is good because hamstrings tend to be the last for the guys.
Mhm.
And then just carrying still a little bit in the back, just a little bit of in the love handle area. That's got to come in and be saran wrap tight soon
Yeah. But that's shrinking on you significantly. Like you see it in your pictures week to week.
Yeah, and that's exactly the feedback coach gave me was like, hey, could not be at a more ideal point at prep. 6 weeks out, the weight's coming off at a rate that is not too aggressive. It's tightening up in the areas that I'm supposed to be tightening up in, and it's going really good.
That's great.
So yeah, so we increased cardio and
Yeah. What were your changes?
cardio
Your
from
foods. What about your food?
Yeah, food stayed the same, and I get a cheat meal this week. Hey,
Did you get an answer about the sushi?
no, he didn't
So
answer me yet.
what are cheat meals for you?
So cheat meals are very prescribed now, where as before in the off season they're not really prescribed. So you could eat a gallon of ice cream if that's what you wanted
I'm
for a
sure
cheat
that's
meal.
not what he means by eat a cheat meal of a gallon of ice cream.
He didn't specify. He
All
just said
right, that's his
he
fault.
just said have one of whatever the hell you want. And honestly, when I was bulking though, it was so hard to eat even an extra burger or something. You're just like, I don't want to eat any more food.
Yeah,
And now I would kill somebody for a burger. And I get one this week, so I don't have to kill anybody.
that's
So
great. Yeah, we shouldn't do that.
yeah, no killing.
No.
So prescribed is a burger and fries or sushi. And sushi is so generic of a word. It's just like, well, is that like a whole sashimi platter? Is that
Well,
for
how
fuck
many
you,
rolls?
dragon lava rolls?
Right. Well, because I mean, I don't even remember at what point this was. I think we were going out to eat, so it must have both been in a build, but we went to that Blue Ocean sushi place.
Yeah.
I mean, we ordered like 8-10 rolls between us.
Yeah.
And then the waiter came back over and we ordered like another 8 rolls.
Yeah.
We were just putting it down. Like he was so annoyed that we ordered a second helping of like dinner. Like, wait, you want more entrees? And then we ordered dessert. And then we were like, all right, we're good. We can roll on out. But like like a normal sushi roll, like I don't know, California roll, whatever, just like the plain tiny ones are.
Yeah.
Easily can house like 10 of those. Like there's not much to it.
Right.
Or does he mean like the big old, like you said, like fuck you lava dragon rolls where they're like massive and they have all of the stuff in it?
Spicy mayo all over the place, cream cheese.
But then how many are you allowed to have?
I don't know. We will find out.
So we need that clarification because if it's like,
potentially I'll have sushi or I'll just have a burger and fries, which is fine.
because if he tells you you can have 3 sushi rolls,
Yeah, burger and fries.
That.
Yeah, exactly. No fucking thank you.
No.
2 California rolls, hard pass.
Yeah.
So that was the check-in, and then so no change in food, which is good. 40 to 45 minutes of cardio, and then a very slight bump in climb.
Okay. So that extra cardio, you're waking up early in the morning, a little extra earlier to do it, so losing a little bit of sleep. Good that you don't have to change your food, so everything's the same there.
I'm excited about that.
I guess this 5 minutes, because every time he adds cardio, it's like 5 minutes. Do you feel that 5 extra minutes in the morning?
From 35 to 40, I did, but now it's like 45. I was like, whatever. It's fine. I don't care anymore. It's just like, I'll do it. I don't give a
I'll
shit.
just do it.
Whatever.
It's okay.
Fine.
Whatever.
At the end of the day, it's just like, I'm going to be in my underwear in front of a bunch of people. So sure, let's do another 5 minutes.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That is funny. So small bump. That's good. And your pictures all look good. Posing's coming along good.
Yeah. You're helping me with my routine. I'm going to become the fanciest boy there.
You got to dance it a little bit more.
I know.
I'm trying to help you feel the music and like count to the music.
I know. We'll figure it out.
And then move to those counts. That's fun. I'm enjoying helping you. Sometimes I feel like you get annoyed with me.
No, I get annoyed with myself because I'm just like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I can't do it.
I hear what you're saying. You can't do it. I know. Well, I always feel bad.
No, don't. I've asked for your help. No, your help has been awesome. You loosened
up.
Yeah. No, it's counting. I just got to work on my counting, and I'll be good.
Yeah. And if anyone's listening and you're like, counting, what is that? Like counting music. I was a dancer. So I grew up as a dancer up until I was like 18. I was a ballet dancer. I danced like 6-7 hours a day when I was in high school. Almost went to college to major in ballet dance, which is, I think, why today I like bodybuilding. Like I like being up on stage. It's a performance. It's fun. So counting music is like just counting the beat of the music and just trying to get that into your movement. So like, okay, I'm going to hold this for 4 beats of the music. It'll just help. That's what I always did with my routine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
good.
So yeah, how was your check-in?
Check-in was good and frustrating at the same time. So I think this was the 4th full week of my mini cut. Last week, I don't know if I talked about it, but last week I did get my calories lowered a bit. My poor coach, she's like 2 weeks out from her show. And she asked me, or I said to her, like, do you want to just kind of like skip check-ins for like a couple of weeks to like you don't have to worry about me. I feel bad. Like, and she's like, no, it's helpful. I'm going to need people to be talking to. I would love to talk to you on Saturday while I'm like in the hustle and bustle. I was like, okay, cool. So my calories last week dropped a little bit. Protein still 170. Fat is still 80. My carbs got dropped to 380. Wah, wah. Makes me a little sad. I've been hungry this week though.
Oh, really?
And in a mad way. Like, I'm not complaining to you about it because it's nothing.
Oh.
What?
Let me get my violin for you. Hold on.
Oh. I haven't been talking to you about it because I don't want to.
It's fine.
I'm not trying to compare.
Bring it up.
I'm just like,
talk about it. It's good. I'm being silly.
I'm just like, damn it, I'm a little bit hungry. Which is so funny because I mean, my top calories are like 3,200 before doing this. So it's not like I've had that significant of a drop, but making a difference. So say that to say, I didn't drop weight this week, really. I think last week I was 151.5.4, and today I was 151.1. So not a huge drop. The first week that I started cutting, I dropped like 2.5 pounds, and I've stayed there and I haven't moved. However, we measure every week, right? From top to bottom and then take pictures. My shoulders went down like about 1/2 inch. And then my chest measurements, I carry a lot of fat. I carry fat, like a good even layer all over. So like you'll see it in my back, you see it in my shoulders a bit. But my measurements, shoulders, chest went down a little bit, which was great. Everything else is kind of held. But then when I took my pictures, there was a significant difference between this week and last week. In like my hips, like my upper quads, like you can see that muscle like really stretch out. And then you see a significant difference from like the top of my quad, like into like my hip dip. You can see those lines. They're a lot sharper, a lot clearer, even from just last week. And then my back pose, you can absolutely see less fat on top, even in just like the way that my posing suit fits me. As I start to get a little bit fluffier, right? Cuts across like a little muffin top on either side. That just like laid on my skin instead of kind of cutting into my skin. So visual improvements are there, even if the scale's not moving. So I love that we take pictures every week, because if I was just looking at the scale, I'd be so pissed off.
Sure.
And
It's only one indicator.
yeah. So she acknowledged that. She saw it. She said everything's good. Calories are going to stay the same. No cardio or anything like that. She's like, we don't do that. So yeah, everything's good.
Nice.
Check in. Let's go to wins of the week, and then we can wrap up. I will start because I have a top of mind. So this week I had shoulder therapy on Wednesday. So my shoulder's been really, really sore all week. It's progressively gotten better. But I did my shoulder therapy on Wednesday. I typically have upper body days Tuesday and Thursday, and I skipped those this week just because I didn't want to aggravate it. Like Tuesday, I couldn't extend my arm above my head completely. Thursday, I probably could have gotten away with doing a little bit, but I just elected to not and just give myself more time to heal. So I don't know if that has a difference, but Wednesday and Friday, I hit PRs on like 3 different things, and it was freaking awesome. So I upped my deadlift, which was Wednesday, and I was so stinking excited about it because I used to deadlift with a hex bar. Now I know people will poo-poo that. You can't deadlift with the hex bar as much because it ends up being more of like a squat deadlift than like a true deadlift. But that's what I had to do to keep my back safe because I have just a shitty lower back. But I've been deadlifting at Gold's. Gold's doesn't have a hex bar. Well, they have one now, but they didn't have one until very recently. So I've just been regular, just conventional deadlift. And so clearly my weight obviously went down, but I've been working up. So I hit a PR on my deadlift. I was very excited about it. And then I got 4 plates on each side on my leg press, which I know doesn't sound exciting because you do like a bajillion and a lot of other people do like 600 pounds, no problem. I do partial reps.
Yeah. That's a son
I do
of a bitch.
1.5. It's so mean. And I curse out my coach every time she programs them in there. I'm like, God damn it, 1.5. So it's an all the way down, halfway up, all the way down, all the way up, 1 rep. So it's bullshit. And then I get sets of like 12 to 15 of those. Fuck you. I hate it. But you hate it in such a good way, right? So I upped it to 4 plates on each side for that. So essentially I was doing reps 12. So 24 reps with 4 plates on each side. That was awesome. And then my landmine squat, I just I threw weight on there. And for the first time, like you started walking in on me when I was in my last set. I felt I was going to die, but I got it out and it was good. Nice. So those are my wins. Those are very exciting week.
Yeah,
I think so. What about you?
For me, I would say, losing the 2 pounds was great. Feeling really good about that. Keep seeing everything tighten up. And then strength this week in the gym was just awesome. Was able to increase weight slightly on some moves.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, 6 weeks out, right?
Your calories have like cut in half from where you were 10 weeks ago. That's insane.
I usually feel it the first couple days right after a food cut, but this past week I was just, I don't know. I've been feeling great. The other thing, and increased reps on a couple of other moves, but
what'd you increase on?
Increased reps on my leg curls, leg extensions. And
how much are you doing on your leg
increased weight on both of those. Leg extensions was 263.
God damn you.
It was one leg. No, I'm just kidding.
It's my goal sometimes with certain exercises that I train, and I know I train them more often than you. It's like a secret goal of mine to outlift you.
I understand.
It will never happen.
You can keep crushing puny other men in the gym, and you will crush me in glute thrusts, but
Yeah.
everything else,
Yeah.
I'm playing by different rules.
That's true. You are playing by different rules.
Yeah.
Good. So you had a good week.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing we teased about this in episode 2. So we can't not talk about it. But we won't go on for too long about it. But moth to a flame.
Mm.
So this is a really interesting situation that happens, and it's so funny. And you see these joking memes and things like on Instagram where it's like what guys think will happen when they start going to the gym and getting big, and it like all the girls are going to be all over them. And it's like what actually happens is it's like all the other dudes just flock to them, right? And so it's like that's what happens. And I think it's really interesting. So we go to the gym together usually like 4 out of 5 days a week. We're not working out together. We're not doing the same things, but we're there together. We like to flirt and be silly.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime that I need you for something, because I need you to like spot me on a squat, on a bench press or whatever, there's always somebody fucking talking to you. And you're such a golden retriever.
I'm a good boy.
It kills me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's dudes have approached me several times, and you know, and I'm usually making real shit faces when I'm working out, like, you know, grunty, ugly faces. So like,
Sure.
I don't look approachable mid-set, but I've gotten so many people come up to talk to me about, dude, your traps are just awesome. Like,
I mean, they're nice.
Yes. Several times I've gotten like guys just coming up to me like, your traps are just cool. And I was like, thank you. I appreciate that.
And it happens all the time.
And then, then we just get off.
Do women come up to you?
Nope. One woman has ever come up to me and said, hey, you look good. And that was one of our friends from the gym who's also a bodybuilder. So I was just like, mad respect. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
But that is, no, women do not talk to men and compliment them on their bodies. I think that is, like you said, it's part of the meme. It's like what guys think will happen. Just get other dudes. You get other dudes just sweating you. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what happened? So you went to a barbecue tonight.
Yeah.
We were invited as a family to one of our kids' friends' houses. They're doing like a Labor Day barbecue. I'm socially awkward and an introvert, and it would absolutely kill me with every fiber of my being to have to go and be in a situation like that. So I opted to stay back with the older kid, and we just went to Joanne Fabrics and had a really good time, just the two of us. So you went. What happened there? Dads. So these are not gym guys, just dads.
Yeah, just dads. Just I was there for like, a couple minutes, and almost immediately the next most in shape guy came up to me and was just like, hey, how's it going? This is who you, and what's your name? This is my name. Immediately after, are you a CrossFitter or a bodybuilder? And I was just like, bodybuilder. And he's like, and then immediately just got into like talking about lifting, and then some more dads migrated over and they're like, you're looking really good. And a couple of dads knew I'm training for a bodybuilding show. Like how far are you out now? And so they were just checking in with me, but yeah, it was cool. It's
so funny. It happens wherever we go, and it drives me insane. Not because someone's like giving you attention, but I'm so not a let's talk to people person.
You're an introvert. Yeah.
I'm like, please don't talk to me. And it makes me have to stand there and feel stupid just waiting for you to stop talking, or like look at somebody and like smile and nod. Okay, bye. Like I don't want that.
Yeah. I try to do a good job of introducing.
But you're nice.
Yeah. I try to do, yes.
You're nice. But generally, people are being nice, right? Like
Yeah.
You don't want to be mean. People are being nice. They're offering you a compliment. So it's like, it's not complaining. I'm talking about it from my perspective.
Yeah.
I'm
You're
like,
just annoyed.
shut up, go away.
Stop talking to him. He's mine.
He's my
He's
husband.
not here to talk to you, stupid. He's
He's
here
here to
to
carry me through the grocery store.
he's here
Go away.
to be my arm candy.
Exactly. You're my arm candy. I will mention this one other thing before we wrap up. When we had a cat sitter come over, this is hysterical. So getting ready to go on a vacation. Hire just a kid in the neighborhood. We live in a neighborhood. There's just tons and tons and tons of kids. So like a middle school kid to come over and just like feed the cats every day. So she comes in and her dad's with her because she's like a middle schooler. Dad comes in, just checks everything out, wants to like meet us, just like do the dad thing. Immediately sees you in the kitchen, goes in the kitchen to talk to you for like 40 minutes. And I'm like, all I needed to do was show this girl where the cat food is, like how to change the litter. It was a 5-minute visit. And he wouldn't stop talking to you. I feel like you took out your supplements or whatever. Or he was asking you.
Oh
all
yeah,
of
he was
these
asking me
things.
about pre-workouts. He was asking me about gear. He was asking me like, yeah, the whole nine.
And it's like just a regular dad bod dude. Although I do say you have a dad bod, but just like a normal, like just a regular, not working out kind of dude. But he kept that conversation with you going for like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then this young girl was just like standing there waiting. Like our daughter and I, we were talking to her, but it was just like so much small talk. It's time to go. Like, you gotta go.
We're just broing out, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Bye. All right. Well, that was fun. We are wrapping up. We will come out with episode 4 next week. And at that point, I want to talk about a shoe journey. You've been on quite the journey of shoes, checking those things out. So that'll be one of the things
Special
we talk
bodybuilding
about.
shoes.
Special bodybuilding shoes. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.